The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Check. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining once again to the pre-sales part 2 course. In this course, we are going to study about our recorders. Recorders are NVRs, which we will be focusing on today. And in the previous class, you studied about how we can choose the right camera type in the pre-sales camera section. They talked about the different camera series, Q series, X series, P series, T series, and so on. Similarly, for recorders, we have series, Q series, X series, and P series. So we will see that today, which recorders to choose, how to do the storage calculation once again with toolbox, how to do RAID setup, how to find the right hard disk for the recorders, and we will end with a basic viewing software called Wisenet Viewer, how to use Wisenet Viewer. Okay. Okay. So when it comes to recorders, there are um, two types. Um, Today we will be focusing on the typical NVR, which is your Linux based NVR, 64 channel NVR, 32 channel NVR, 4 channel, 16 channel, 8 channel NVRs. Okay. Now, what is the benefit of using a Wisenet NVR? Simply put, license free, pre-installed application, plug and play. So what does it mean? You have cameras, you have purchased cameras, you want to have a recording management system, buy an NVR. It's already pre-installed with the Wisenet recording management. And at the back of the NVR, there are monitor ports. You can directly connect monitors to it to start monitoring. There are hard disk slots. You just plug in the hard disk into the slot, then starts recording. So the um, the setup of the system is much more simpler. Okay, the main point was license free. So let's focus on that license free part. If you have a 64 channel NVR, you can connect 64 cameras to the NVR and it will not ask you for any license. You can use Hanwha camera, you can use third party camera, it does not matter. Okay. Now the NVR also has, let me pull out the slide. The NVR also has dual power supply. Just a second. Sorry. Just a second. I'm just pulling out that particular picture of the NVR to explain this point. Okay, here we go. Redundant power supply as an option. So NVRs are also good in terms of features. If you require redundant power supply, redundant fans, multiple network ports, multiple, let me zoom that part, display ports. So you have these kind of functionalities all built in, right? So you don't have to worry about having redundancy in your recording system. It is also there. RAID 5, RAID 6 redundancy also available in the NVR models. Failover, N plus 1 failover, that is also available in the NVR. So if you have three NVRs, one can fail. For example, you have three NVRs, out of which two are recording normally, the third one is a standby. Okay, now the second one, which is supposed to record normally, failed. It doesn't matter. So whatever cameras was recording on the second NVR will now start recording on the standby. Okay, once the normal NVR is returned to, I mean, it's been repaired and fixed, then the recording will resume back on the second NVR. Okay, now the standby NVR can monitor up to 32. So that means you can have 32 active NVR and one standby. You got it? So you can have 32, you can have less than that, you can have 10 NVR and one standby. So N plus 1 failover means you can have N as 32 plus 1 failover. So one standby NVR can monitor up to 32, okay, active NVR or NVRs which are recording. Okay, 4 is the best practice. 4 is to 1, 8 is to 1, 10 is to 1, 12 is to 1. These are best practices. Depending on the project type, you can use any one ratio. If you go 32 is to 1, 32 is like 2000 cameras if you take 64 NVR, right? So that's like too much of a number, but that's not really a security redundant, or that is in terms of practical application, it's not very practical. So we recommend every 500 cameras you put one failover NVR, or every 600 cameras you put one failover. So it is supported. Failover feature is supported. It also supports a recovery from the SD card. Maybe the connection is disconnected, camera and NVR, there is a disconnection. Doesn't matter, if you have a SD card in the camera, you can also recover it. So this feature is also supported. Some NVRs also have behind the NVR PoE port. You can directly power the cameras from the NVR itself, so you can save on the cost of network switch. Now just remember this, these NVRs will be specially marked as letter S at the end. So if you don't see letter S, that means it does not have built-in PoE. Okay, not all NVRs have built-in PoE. The maximum number of channels or ports is 16 channel in this particular type of option, PoE switch option. Okay, so just to summarize, your NVR, the key benefit, license free, it supports redundancy, it supports failover, it supports 4 channel, 8 channel, 16 channel, depending on the number of cameras you can choose. If you have 100 cameras, you can buy 2 NVRs with 64 channel. If you have 500 cameras, you can buy 6 or 8 NVRs with 64 channel. So you can build your system. You don't have to worry about whether this hardware will work, whether this software will work. Everything is pre-installed. Okay. Now, in the NVR, we don't supply hard disk. You can buy the hard disk of your choice, but we have a recommended list. Okay. So we have a recommended list from Seagate or Western Digital. You can choose any one brand. Whoever gives you the best price, you can choose. And in the recommended list, it is there on our website. So for example, if you go to our website, Hanwha Security, so you just type Hanwha Security on Google. It will take you to the search engine result. Click on the first not the first, one second. Hanwa dash secure. Yeah, this is the first one. Global website. Click on this. Once you go to the global website, in case it opens in Korean language, just change it to HQ English, and from then you have to figure out the hard disk for the NVR, right? So it will be listed under data center HDD compatibility. Okay, we will see this more in detail when we are studying the selection. However, we have a nice list here. You can download and see every NVR. It will be shown which hard disk model is supported and which hard disk model, which size is supported, and so on. So it will be listed here with the model number and the NVR tick mark, okay, to support. All right. Now let's go through the NVR features by looking at the actual NVR. What are the features available? So I have here connected. Let me pull this out. Mhm. Strange. Let me pull another one. 210. Okay. Okay. So now you are on the web page of your NVR, and what you see on the right side is your layout, camera layouts. You can have 4 by 4. You can also expand to another monitor. You can have multiple layouts. On the left side is the camera list. You can have, if you have a PTZ camera, PTZ list. You can also save layouts. You can say this is a 4 by 4 layout, this is a 2 by 2 layout. You can give names. You can save. Now there are a few shortcut buttons. You get to see the status, which cameras are recording. Currently one camera is there, but it's disconnected. You can see the resolution, frame rate, which is being used for live view, as well as you can see which is being recording at the moment. Okay, and you can have option for manual record. You can initiate a record. If you are seeing some incident, you can start the recording. You can clear all the notifications. If there is a change in the hard disk, it will start beeping. You can reset that alarm. It is just notifying you, okay, there is someone has changed the hard disk, or some issue with the rate, or some cameras offline. It will start beeping. Also you will get pop-up in your VMS, that is there, but physically also there is a beeper. You can reset that beeper if you want. Export video, if you are for some reason you want to export the video, you don't have to download any software. Directly from the web page where I am, you can also export the video. So now let's see the other menu options. On the top you have the theme, black theme, white theme. You have lock button, user, who's logged in, and so on. Go to setup, channel setup. You can click auto detect. It will automatically detect the cameras which are in that network. Now before that you have to go to camera password and enter the password for the cameras which will be added. So I have already set up the cameras in my network with a specific password. All my cameras are using a specific password, so I'm going to use that. So when I do a discovery, it will automatically log in for me. Okay, let me delete my previous cameras. Okay, detect. So I have T camera, XNV camera, X series. So I will take four cameras, move it, apply, apply, that's it. Okay, now your cameras are connected. You can edit the camera names here. You can give it your name, ABC, area 1, area 2, and so on. Okay, area 1. Now, not only that, you can also add on-with camera. So not only Wisenet, you can add on-with. You can also add cameras which don't even have on-with using RTSP. So that is possible. So that way it is flexible. Then go to camera setup. You can have a look at the camera view where it is looking at. That's fine. Go to profile. Currently the camera is recording H.264 from the currently the NVR is recording the cameras automatically started recording, but it is recording H.264 profile. You can change to H.265, so you can get better storage from the cameras. And live view, you don't have to change anything. By default, keep it as auto. Remote, remote. So let's say your NVR is in a remote location, you have bandwidth issue and you want to monitor remotely, you can even customize which profile the NVR should be sending to you. If you put H.264, it will send full 5 megapixel or 4K. Maybe you don't have bandwidth to view remotely. You can customize that from the network port what resolution should be sent. So the NVR supports multiple profiles. Okay, many local NVRs, many very cost-effective, cheap NVRs don't have this kind of features. What you see, what is what you record. If you're seeing H.265, it will record H.265. If you see H.264, it will record H.264. If you see 5 mega, it will record 5 mega. You don't have the option to change these kind of things. Whereas in ours, you can have three profiles. One for live view, you can see in full H.264 in live view. You can record in H.265. For remote viewing, you can send another H.264 but low resolution if you want. Okay. If this project is not having remote viewing, it is all local viewing. For example, in my project, I have 10 NVRs, but the control room is in the same site. In that case, I don't need to do low resolution view. I can make it full high resolution. Okay. So that is also possible. Okay. So overall, you have the option to choose and select which profile from the camera the NVR should be using for live viewing or recording or remote. Okay, for example, in Qatar, you have a 5 megapixel camera as per specification, but as per regulation, you have to only record 1 megapixel. So you can view 5 mega, you can see locally in SSMPC, you can see 5 mega, but you can record in 1 megapixel. Okay, certain regions in Abu Dhabi, recognition cameras you can record in 1 megapixel. So you can propose a 2 mega or a 4K camera, but record in 1 mega or 2 megapixel depending on the local regulation, right? Another point, what if the resolution is same? For example, in Sierra, live view is 2 megapixel, 25 frame, but recording is 2 mega, 10 frames. So you can choose in the NVR to do live view 2 mega, 25 frames, but recording you can do in 10 frames. Okay, so you can have a better storage. So if your NVR does not support multi-profile, what you see is what you record. If you're seeing 25 frame, it will record 25. If you see 10 frame, it will record 10 frame. But that will not be approved because you need 25 frame for live view. Any customer wants 25 frames in live view. So that means you are forced to record higher resolution. So you will be spending more on the storage. Now, our NVR support cameras H.265. It also supports special codecs H.265 plus kind of scenario like Ystream. It also supports all these. So you can have better storage that we will see later on. Anyhow, next is camera setup. We already saw that. Okay, camera password. You can also change the camera passwords from the NVR. You can have recording schedule. You can say which cameras should record continuously or only on event. So which means record only on motion or do a mix during nighttime record on motion, morning time record continuously, and you can customize for each channel separately. You can put a global setting, apply to all cameras. You have record setup where you can say if you're doing continuous recording, it will record whatever is coming input from the camera, it will record fully. You have option to do audio recording. You have option to set up if you're doing event based, before event and after event, 15-second and up to 6 hours. Before event, pre and post, you can customize that. If there is a motion, you can say, okay, record whatever frames is coming from the camera. If it is sending 10 frames, record all 10 frames. So you can choose that also, event based recording. We also support iframe recording, but not used in our region. However, it is supported. Okay. All right. Next is each camera. You can decide how many days it should be recording. By default, it will record as much as possible, but you can customize. Some camera 30 days, some camera 90 days. You can customize that. Then next is okay. This is not there. Okay. Now camera to configure. Let me double check. Events. Motion detection. Okay, you can have motion detection enabled. You can enable from the camera web page, from the NVR itself. You can go to the camera web page, or you can directly enable from the NVR. So you don't have to go to the web page. You can enable directly. But if you go to the web page, you have more options through the NVR. You can customize the sensitivity, minimum duration, calibration, all that extra settings you can do. Line crossing, you can draw intelligent analytics. Okay. Then tamper analytics, video loss detection. If you have AI camera, you can use mask detection and object detection. Okay, so these two features are for AI camera. Let me see if I can add one AI camera to detect. Okay, okay, we'll come to that. Next is event. We event rule, object detection, mass detection, motion, intelligent video analytics. Again, what is intelligent video analytics? Go to the web page, you will get more details. You can, for example, you can uh, draw a line and say if anybody is crossing the line, I need alarm. You can draw 8 lines. You can customize which direction. Okay, so that can be enabled from the web page through the NVR. You can do that. Okay, now let's take the last camera and object detection. It's taking time. Okay. Okay. Next is event rule setup. You can also create a custom rule if you say event rule if motion is detected from camera 1, then tampering is detected in camera 2, and if it occurs within within a period of 3 seconds, I want an action. You can get a mobile push notification. So you'll get a mobile notification if you add the NVR to your mobile. You can start recording, you can send email, you can get a pop-up. So you can customize this through the NVR again. So what are the different events? Create rule. You can have multiple events, face detection, alarm input, system event. So if some power issue, fan issue, account issue, any of the system event, as well as you have option to do camera analytics event, video loss, um, then hardware input. So behind the NVR there is even relay contact. You can even use that to trigger output. Okay, so let's go to input. There are 8 alarm inputs in the NVR. Okay, so even that can be triggered. Each camera has alarm input that also can be used for a trigger. Okay, then device storage. Currently, I have inserted one hard disk, but for you can have more, right? Depending on the size of the NVR, you can add as many hard disk. Maximum, I believe, in this NVR model is 16 hard disk. Okay, then you have options. Some NVRs you can expand your storage with iSCSI. The RAID models you can enable RAID 5, RAID 6. It's all just a click of a button, right? It's not that difficult. So in order to do RAID, you need minimum certain number of hard disk. So we will do that when we do calculation. It will tell you when you click RAID, it will tell you you need minimum 8 hard disk, minimum 6 hard disk, minimum 5 hard disk. So it will tell you depending on the model number. So you can activate RAID from here. Distributed recording allows you to record, uh, you know, okay, currently there are 4 hard disks base, right? You can tell the NVR camera 1 to 5 record in hard disk group 1, camera 10 or 11 to 20 record in hard disk group 2. You can distribute your recording in the NVR. So this feature is called distributed recording. What is the benefit? If you're not using RAID, if you're not using RAID, all the cameras will record in hard disk 1. It will fill the hard disk 1, then it will go to hard disk 2. It will fill up hard disk 2, then it will go to hard disk 3. So like that it will fill one by one. However, if you use distributed recording, you can parallelly activate multiple hard disks to start recording at the same time. So what is the benefit? Instead of all the recording load of 64 camera in one hard disk, you can distribute it. So let's say one hard disk can handle around 100 Mbps, but if you activate 3 or 4 hard disks at the same time, you can get 300, 400 Mbps at the same time. Okay, it's like this. There is the old chariots. If It's like this. If you have 10 people sitting on the chariot and only one horse, that's like one hard disk. So all the load is on one hard disk. Okay. Now if you have 4 horses, but only one horse is moving, that's like still more load, right? However, with distributed recording, is like distributing the 10 people across 4 horses. So first three will go on horse one, another three will go to horse second horse, and so on. So all the horses are being used at the same time. All the hard disk is being used at the same time. So in that way, you can maybe in the NVR wise, you can get more recording bandwidth. Okay. So this feature is there called distributed recording. Why it is used mostly when you don't have RAID, the recording process is like first it will fill hard disk 1, then hard disk 2, and so on. So to overcome that, we have this feature called distributed recording. If you use RAID, anyway all the hard disks will work together. RAID means redundant array. So all the 4 horses will become like one group. They will all move together at the same time. In that case, it can handle a good amount of load. Okay, they're sharing the load of all 10 people. That way it is good. So in RAID, you don't have to worry about distributed recording. Anyway, all the hard disk will be running at the same time. Okay. On the monitor, you can say if you connect your monitor behind the NVR, you can configure what to display. You can connect the second monitor. The second monitor, you can configure which cameras to show. The first monitor is always up to 4K, but you have to connect 4K monitor to activate it. So it can support 4K monitor. Then next is you NVR support multiple network ports. You can have cameras on different network recording on the NVR, no problem. And you can customize the port numbers in the NVR. If you are concerned about cybersecurity, you can customize your own port. We support DDNS, so you can also see QR code. So you can scan with your Wisenet mobile application. You can also quickly scan and add this NVR to your network. Okay, you need find router. Okay, IP filtering. You can filter some IPs, so only admin IP can access the NVR, remaining IP will be denied. Security, HTTPS option, network-based access control is there. File transfer, so if there is an event, you can upload a photo to a remote location. You can have a event, you can send an email. SNMP is supported. NVR can provide IP addresses to the cameras automatically. You can enable DHCP. Then, of course, NVR can give time to all the cameras. It can act like a time server, act as NTP server. So you don't have to buy separate time servers. It is okay to buy, but NVR itself can provide the time. If you fix the time here, it will give the time to all the cameras. Okay, next is you can have multiple user and privileges, which user will should see which cameras, who can export, who can record, who can change settings and so on. You can see the NVR information, what is the current firmware. You can upload firmware, you can do online upgrade. Feature wise, quite good. Then um, you can export all the settings of the NVR, whatever you have done, you can export it, so you can import later on if something happens. Then log whenever you're for many purpose. For example, you want to know who logged in. You can see from here which person tried to log in. So there is one SSM trying to access the NVR all the time, so it is locked. So that particular IP is trying to log in. Then there is a event log. You can see which camera detected motion, so you can check whether you're receiving motion from the logs. Who tried to export the videos, you can see export log as well. Okay, so this is the overall summary of features. Now we will go to the next session, which series to choose, which NVR is most suitable. So let's take just a short 5-minute break before we continue. Okay, let's resume. Are there any questions up to this point? Anyone has any doubt? You can unmute your mic, you can raise your hand, you can ask in the chat window, or you can also paste in the Q&A section. Feel free to ask your doubts anytime. Yeah. All right. Okay, so now there are three major types of NVR: the Q series NVR, X series NVR, P series NVR. Majority of the projects will have X series. Small or big, most of the projects will have X series NVR. Okay, occasionally for very small, like retail space with limited storage requirements, they will be fine with Q series NVR. Okay, now P series is slightly different. It is similar to X, except it has additional processor, AI processor, to convert the camera into a AI camera. All right, but you don't need it. If you want AI feature, you can directly buy AI camera and you can use with an X series NVR. Okay, in case you don't have that option, in case the customer already purchased the NVR, sorry, cameras, and he wants to have AI feature, then maybe you can look at P series NVR. Otherwise, most of the projects will be X series. X also has 4 channel, X and Q has 4 channel, X has 8 channel, Q has 8 channel, X has 16, 32, 64 channel, Q will stop at 16 channel. Okay, now what is the difference between Q and X? If Q supports one hard disk, X series will support two hard disk, so more hard disk, or four hard disks. It will support additional storage. Okay, both Q and X are also suitable for small projects, 16 channel, 8 channel, because they have built-in PoE option, which means behind the NVR you can directly plug the cameras. So let's have a look at this. Let me go to that NVR. hanwa-security.com. Products, video recorder, NVR. There are around 60 NVRs. We are going to focus on Q. Now let's take QRN 830. Then you have also XRN, QRN, XRN 20, XRN 810, and so on. Okay. So this one supports one hard disk up to 6 terabyte, 8 channel. Behind the NVR, you have PoE ports because the model number has letter S. So 8 cameras you can directly power. Okay, for small projects, this is good. You have also XR and NVR, so 815. Sorry, 815. And if you see here, up to 2 hard disk. So this guy also 8 cameras built in PoE, it's fine. But because it's X series, so it's slightly higher in terms of features. So if you're recording maybe 90 days or 60 days, this model will be better compared to Q series for the same number of camera. Then what else? PoE budget. So it can connect 8 cameras, right? So the total watts that it can supply to all 8 cameras is up to 100 watts. So PoE budget is more compared to Q series. Q series is 65 watts. So small differences. Um, Sometimes it's not having a big impact. Sometimes yes. Majority of the time, the standard uh, entry model is still more than sufficient. Okay, even 65 watts may be more than sufficient for most projects. Okay, however, if you're not sure, you can stick with X series for all your projects. Will be just fine. Okay, if you want to save some cost, you can look at the Q series. Okay, now how to select NVR for your project. Now, very simple. Just look for uh, in the X series. Okay, look for these features. 1 second. Okay, all right. Model number. So you have to decide first which series is suitable for your project. If you have a project requirement with 100 cameras, of course, you will not start with the Q series NVR because maximum number of channel in Q series is 16 channels. So not suitable. X series 64 channel. So you need 2 NVRs in this case. This will work. P series again up to 64, but it it has extra AI processor. Again, you don't need this AI processor to convert non-AI to AI, right? It's not required for majority of the projects. If you already have, for example, uh, if you already have, let's go to the camera. I am currently in X series NVR, XRN6410. If you buy AI camera, you can use AI search. AI search is there. All you need to do is make sure you buy AI camera. All right. P series will convert a non-AI camera. So you don't have to go to P series unless and until maybe someone recommends it to you or unless the customer already has the existing cameras which he wants to convert. Okay. So don't unnecessarily quote a P series NVR without if not required. Okay. All right. So you can search by gender, color of the shirt, color of the trouser. You can search for the car. Same way, type of car, color of the car. You can select up to 2 colors. So if you are buying a P series AI camera, you can use with any X series NVR and do the AI search. Okay. Even Q series NVR you can use and get AI search. Hi Amir, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Can you please explain that AI search again? Like,
Okay, I didn't hear very clearly. You repeat that?
no, this selecting the NVR
Ah,
uh, with the AI option. You said like, so if I am selecting, if I'm giving the client PRN, the client should have must have an AI camera, or we can convert the normal camera to AI
yeah.
detection.
If you need AI feature, there are two ways to approach.
Okay.
One, you can use a Q or X series NVR with AI camera. So any camera from
Mm.
Hanwha which is having this P-A that means it is AI.
Mhm.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
if your customer is not having AI camera, but he wants AI feature, then you have to propose AI NVR. Okay, so that is the P series NVR. It will convert any old X series camera or any old P series camera, it will convert it into an AI camera. So
Yeah.
in that case, you use P series AI NVR.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, so now I'm going to show you the AI camera. Um, this is a P series P&O bullet camera AI. This camera can do person detection, object detection, person, car, vehicle. The camera itself will do this work. Because the camera is already doing it, you don't need the NVR to do it again. NVR will only capture and show you in a way to search it. Okay, NVR will save the data from the camera and it will allow you to search for those whatever the camera has captured. Search for the person or car or a face or license plate, so on. Okay, now, if your camera does not have AI, doesn't do all this, then you can buy a P series NVR. So let me show you. Let me check if I have one. Yes, log in. Okay. Now I am logging in to a P series NVR. PRN6410. What is different here is there is an option called Event AI Engine. Okay. This is the X series and this is the P series. Okay, let's do a side-by-side comparison. Um, Event AI engine, right? And this one, event, you will not see AI engine. Okay, the left side is the P series AI NVR. P series AI NVR. You have the option called AI engine under event. Whereas in the normal NVR, X series or Q series, you will not find AI engine. What is this AI engine? It can convert. So I have, let's say, for example, let me add a normal camera to detect the same camera. If it figure finds out, I will add it TNV. Uh, TNV. Okay, so I will add this. Okay, I need to log in. Apply. Now, when I go to AI engine, I have the option called enable AI to this camera. Done. Now when I enable AI, it will show me the CPU status of this AI NVR. Currently it is using 6% for two cameras. So roughly speaking, if it is a 64 channel NVR, AI NVR, I can convert almost the half of that. Half of that is 32. 32 non-AI camera, I can convert it as AI. Now what is the benefit after doing this? So let me enable this. Okay, done. After that, when I go to AI search, I can search for person. It will show me person with person detected with certain shirt, person detected with male detected with black shirt, black pant. So this feature it will be activated for a non-AI camera. Okay. Now, if you don't want that, you can still get the same feature. However, make sure your camera which you are adding. For example, I have your camera P&O. This is already AI camera. That camera should have AI. That's it. This camera should already have AI. Then you can do AI search. Okay. All right. Now let's do the comparison once again. P series refers to P series NVR, X refers to X series NVR, R is for recorder, N is for NVR. The first two digit is for channel, 4 means 4 channel, 32 channel. Then these two digits are mostly 00. Okay. D represents a dual power supply. If your NVR supports two power supply, it will be D. If it is written S behind the NVR, you can plug your PoE switch S. B hard disk bay. Okay, that means it has hard disk option. 1 B1 means 4 hard disk you can connect. B2 means 8 hard disk you can connect. B3 12 4 into B4 means 16. So each hard disk bay or each array you can have up to 4 hard disks. So 4 means 4 into 4 16 hard disk. Okay, so it looks like this. So 1 2 3 4 hard disk. This is 2 array, 8 hard disk. Okay, so let's see another picture. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 2 array. B1 means only one array of 4 hard disks. This is 16. Okay, you remember the alarm contacts I mentioned behind the NVR? These are the alarm input, audio input. You can have external alarm input and output from the NVR also. Okay, all right. Now going back to the comparison, mostly you will choose X series. It's not difficult to decide. If you need an NVR from Hanwha, most likely your project will have X series. 4, 8, 16, 32, 64 channel available. P series also has from 16 onwards up to 64. Now there are two slot option. You can have 64 channel with 8 hard disk. You can have 64 channel with 16 hard disk. You can choose which model you want. If you're recording 30 days, 8 slot is enough. If you're recording 90 days, 16 slot is required. Okay. Then maximum resolution per camera, not total, per camera. Each camera you can connect 32 megapixel. So it's a very powerful NVR, good enough. Maximum hard disk. This one up to 10 hard disk, sorry, up to 10 terabyte per hard disk. So if you're using 16 channel, 160 TB maximum. Then behind the NVR there are two outputs, two HDMI output. One of them is 4K. Built-in PoE you can get in up to 16 channel option. But remember, it should have the letter S. If you forget the letter S, you may get a 16 channel but without PoE. So it is still a feature to be included. Okay. Then RAID 5, RAID 6 is available, and both of them support AI search. If you buy AI camera, you can use AI search. It supports failover, N+1 failover is there. Dual power supply is an option in the 64 channel. Converting non-AI to AI camera only in the P series. So this is the main difference. Okay. Lastly, under P series, there is one special type of NVR. It's called 6410. Usually NVR is PRN 6400. You have an option in P series to do phase search. Okay, which is I can demonstrate with a video. So you can upload, let's say in the NVR, you can upload a specific phase and you say wanted, and you search for that similar phases. So and you search between this time period and you upload that particular phase, it will show all the phases similar to that. So you can search for that uh, video and playback. So it's called phase search. But remember, if you want this, you have to go with P series NVR. Second, model should end with 10. Third, you need a AI camera also. Okay, you have to use AI camera from P series plus you have to use P series NVR with the special version 10. So you have to keep two conditions in mind. Both camera should be AI as well as the NVR should be AI. Got it? So that is your P series AI NVR criteria to decide. Q series recorder network 16 channel uh, version 2 3, that is okay. S means with the PoE switch. Okay. In Q series you may not find this B concept, B1 B2. We will be adding that, but it still supports hard disk, one hard disk or two hard disks depending on the model. Okay. Now let's use the website to do the decision making and make it easy for us. Okay, all you have to do is go to the website, then click on Toolbox Plus. You see the Toolbox option. Just like you select camera using Toolbox, you use the Toolbox for NVR selection. Toolbox Plus. Okay, another way to go to Toolbox, support Toolbox Plus, or support online tool and then Toolbox Plus. There are many ways to go to Toolbox Plus. If you go to the website directly, you will see shortcut. Here also you will see under online tool, or under support you can see here under products also you will see. So different places you will find Toolbox Plus. Okay, when you log in to the Toolbox Plus, when I say login, you don't need username and password. When you just load the page, directly start a new project. You can give a name to your project. Okay, then start with a camera. Okay, before we select an NVR, start with a camera. Let me take a one 4K and one 2 megapixel camera. Okay, and each will be 100, and I'm recording as it is. So if you're not sure, if you did not attend the first class, you can edit the recording days here, 31 days. You can edit the quantity here for the camera. You can select the settings and you can choose H.265 recording. You can reduce the resolution. Maybe if you want to record only in 2 mega, you can change it. If you can edit the frame rate. You can activate Ystream. Ystream means if the scene is not active, it will automatically reduce the bandwidth by 30 to 50%. So you can reduce the bandwidth. The first two settings we don't really change. The third one, currently it is recording continuously only for some time. Remaining 20%, it is doing motion recording. So I'm going to edit and by click setup and make all continuous. If you're from Kuwait and you want to record as per Kuwait regulation, it is 24 hours on motion, but occupancy is 50%. Okay. If you're in Qatar or other regions, just make everything continuous. Okay. Done. I will do the same for the next camera. You have to do for each camera separately. H.265, record 2 mega, 10 frames, and record continuously. Okay, done. Okay, if you need spare 20%, add to the days, 37 days, 38 days, you can add 20%. Okay, now go to NVR selection, NVR. Under NVR, there is XRN, it is an NVR. XRP is there. We did not learn P, XRP. XRP is a Windows-based recording server. We are not covering that in today. That is part of SSM VMS with pre-installed VMS, pre-license. That is different. But today in the NVR section, we are only talking about N. N is for NVR. So if there is an exam and after this or quiz, just focus only on the N part. Okay. Now, I have 200 cameras. It does not make sense to buy a 32 channel because I need more. Directly, I go to the 64. Under 64, because I'm recording for 30 days, I don't need lot of hard disk bay. I don't need this 16 hard disk bay, right? I need 8 hard disks is enough. Okay. Now, how to figure that out? Just go and add everything. Okay. If you're not sure, just add everything. This 30, forget it. It's an old model. All this is old. P series NVR, again forget it because you're not going to convert any non-AI camera. So forget that. Now select within that X series, select all and look closely, there is a compare button. Okay, click on the compare button again. Let me show you. This is the comparison button. Click on the compare button and you can figure out how many hard disk is there. First one has 8, second has 16, third has 16, fourth has 8. Okay, now what's the difference? The first one and the last one, both of them have 8 hard disk. The first one does not have the RAID. Sorry, first one has RAID 586. The last one does not have RAID. So in case I need in my project RAID 5, RAID 6, I will select the first one. Okay, in case in your project you need dual power supply, you don't, then you have to jump to only one option, 6410 DB4, dual power supply. You have to go to this. It has 16 slot. This is the only option. Okay, so here I am going with 8 slot, but I need RAID. So I will choose RAID. Okay, again remember, R here represents RAID, but 64, sorry, if you have 16 hard disk, by default it is RAID. You don't need R to be written. Okay, just to avoid confusion for you, look at the comparison and take your decision. Okay, 8 hard disk, okay, that should be, it is supporting RAID, no RAID. Okay, so I'm going to use the first model. Calculate NVR. Now you see exclamation marks. That means something is not right. Increase the quantity. Still it becomes good. Okay, removed. Now storage is having exclamation. Each hard disk in the NVR is 4 TB, not enough. So what you do is change the size to 6 TB, good enough. If you want to reduce even further, try to make 10 terabyte. Okay, good. Or if you want 8 terabyte, also good. So if I use 8 terabyte, it require only 3 hard disk. If I use 10 terabyte, I still need 3 hard disks per NVR. So maybe 8 will be cheaper. If I use 6 terabyte, I need 4 hard disks per NVR. If 6 terabyte is cheaper with 4 quantity, go with 6 terabyte. Okay. Now I need RAID also, right? So click RAID 5. Whenever you do RAID 5 selection, you have to reselect the hard disk. Okay. Whenever you select RAID option, you have to reselect the hard disk once again, 6 TB or 8 TB. Okay. Don't forget this because it has to refresh the calculation. All right. So let's say I need RAID 5. I will select 6 TB. Minimum I need 5 hard disk. If I don't need RAID, minimum I need 4 hard disk. Because I selected RAID, see now it didn't update. You have to select again. It will get updated. Okay, if you need RAID 6, again you have to select. It will get updated. Minimum 6 hard disk is required for RAID 6. Okay, clear. So RAID 5, select again. 5 hard disk is required. So it's fine. If I try to reduce, you can try, but still I need minimum 5. So there's no point giving 10 terabyte hard disk. Stick with 6 TB, that's enough. If you want to give spare, okay, you can give. Otherwise, it's not required. You can just give 6 TB, 5 unit per NVR. Now you can save this. Tomorrow, if you want, you can make some changes. You can just open this file, make some changes. You can take a report, bandwidth report, the total storage, NVR quantity, and so on. What if you want failover? Okay, if you want failover, after you finish, add one, click on the plus button and add one more. Okay, same hard disk you have to insert and buy one as failover NVR, n plus one failover. Okay, don't forget, when you have failover, don't think it's included. It is included, but you need to have one additional unit for the failover, n plus one, right? Plus one. You have to give one failover spare. Okay. So in this project of 200 camera, I need 5 NVRs, XRN6410RB2 with failover, n plus 1 failover included. But hard disk, I still have to buy. So where do you have to get the hard disk from? Support, data center, HDD compatibility, download it, open the file and go to the initial page. Look for your NVR model number. Where is it? XRN 6410 RB2. So your NVR is XRN 6410 RB2. Type here Control F XRN 6410 RB2. Okay. Now click next. You'll find the hard disk selected here. So if you're going for 10 terabyte Western Digital Purple, this specific model has been tested. Okay, if you want Hitachi, you can Seagate, you can check here. Seagate model, so and so model has been tested. Okay, we selected 6 terabyte, right? You can take 6 terabyte. Let's see, 8 is there, 6 terabyte is here. Okay, you can take 6, this model. Okay, you can take that. Okay, so that's your hard disk selection. Okay, sometimes you will not find, you will, let's say you select 32 channel, XRN 32. Okay, the 32 channel is here, but it belongs to the group 64 channel. So if you see here, there is a group and whatever models are here, so all these models belong to this group. So any hard disk compatible with the group leader is also working with the members of the group. So if you are selecting, for example, a PRN 16 channel NVR, you have to find compatible hard disk for XRN 6410. It will work with PRN also. Okay, so just keep that also in mind. If you're looking for hard disk for XRN 815, check the hard disk for QRN 1630. It will also work for XRN 815. Okay, it belongs to the same group. Okay, so compatible hard disk we may not find for each NVR version. That's why it is grouped as one, and then this plus all of this is compatible with the group leader. Okay, so yeah, that's your way of selecting your NVRs. Now once you have selected NVR, you want to monitor the NVR together. Okay, let's say I have a project. I have 5 NVRs in my project. I want to see all the NVRs in one monitor, one SSM or one control room monitor. In this case, you need a software called a VMS software to centralize all the NVR. Okay. In order to do centralization, it is free. If you are using our NVR, this feature is free. And you have two ways to do it. You can download Wisenet Viewer or SSM. Okay, there are two ways to do it. Wisenet Viewer or SSM VMS. SSM VM is a server client architecture. It's a bit more feature rich. Wisenet Viewer is light and client only. So directly install Wisenet Viewer and add all the NVR, you can start viewing. Okay, if it is SSM VMS, you will add all the NVRs to one server and you can have multiple clients and monitor. Okay, so we'll take another 10-minute break and then we will come back and touch on this topic. Okay, let us resume. Okay, now how to decide which VMS option is best for you? Okay, question one you have to answer is, do you need integration with access control or any third party system? Then SSM is the choice. Okay, second one, do you need um, Sira integration, which is again same with the integration concept, the bipolar requirement integration. Okay, in that case you need SSM VMS. It has been pre-approved and tested. Then, if you need failover in the database, okay, or for example, for example, this is a bit tricky point. If your client should have, okay, for example, SSM is a server client architecture. Okay, if your client fails in, okay, in okay, Wisenet viewer is not server client. Okay, let me just pull this out. Wisenet viewer, let's see. Okay, I'm going to first show you Wisenet viewer. All right, now I have logged in to Wisenet viewer. All you see is the layout option. You can have cameras displayed here. Okay, now let me there is an option called auto register add or add device or add group. I'm going to start with add device. Okay, now under add device I have the option to add the NVRs. So here I have added PRN NVR, PRN NVR, another PRN, another XRN, multiple NVRs. And first let me delete all of them. Delete, delete. Okay, add. So I have multiple NVRs here. I can add them. Okay, let me put the correct password. Come to log. Okay, I think the wrong one. I think I might try this one. Okay, so in the Wisenet viewer, now I have added two NVRs. What is the what can you do after you add two NVRs? You can view cameras from these two NVRs together in one location. So I can have cameras here, can have cameras here. So if I add more cameras, I can see them. You can have multiple cameras displayed. Okay, so we are back. Can you hear me well? Okay, so there was a short temporary disconnection. Okay, here we go. Let's go back to the session. So, what I was displaying is how to use Wisenet Viewer with the NVRs. So we just added two NVRs to Wisenet Viewer, and you can drag and drop your cameras here. You can do playback, you can export video. Okay, then we can export video. You can group cameras. You can add a new group and group cameras and so on. Okay, so a simple viewing application. You can also have rules. You can have events. If a certain event occurs, you can say if alarm input or analytics from camera one, what should be the action? Open a layout, pop up a layout, or create or show a high priority alarm or release a relay contact. You can do those kind of settings here, and it's your typical basic viewing application. Okay, simple as that. Now, what else? Layout. You can also save layouts. That's fine. And just you can do search. If you have AI camera, you can do AI search. So that can be done. You can do event search. So if you have multiple cameras, you can multiple NVRs and three operators can directly start communicating with the NVR, and they can get uh, live view playback and so on. Now, there is another method of doing the same thing is SSM concept. What is SSM concept? In SSM concept, we add all the NVRs to one server. Okay, so let me pull out a schematic. You have cameras, NVR, camera, NVR, camera, NVR. All right, I have a central server where I will install SSM VMS. This is a database application as well as you can call it as a database server or management server. I will add all the NVRs to this one central server. Okay, after this, all the clients, you can have 10 clients, 20 clients, you can even have 30, 40 clients. Okay, so in this concept, you can have as many clients as you want. Okay, and they can speak to the server and get the live view playback. Okay, here in this concept, you can integrate to third-party access control system. You can also integrate with CIRA, local regulatory requirement. In this case, you have to use the SSM concept. This is server client architecture. Here we also support failover. So in case the server fails, all the NVRs will get transferred to the second server. The client will still be able to get live view playback. This entire functionality does not require to pay for any license. Okay, it's because you have already purchased our NVR, you can use the SSM application without any license fees. Okay, let me show you how it's done. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I have logged into SSM as an operator. I will now add NVR. So go to plus configuration. Okay, Now, at first look, if you go to monitoring, it looks almost similar. You have camera layout here, you have events on the right side, left side you have the list of cameras and NVR. So I'm going to add NVR. So I'm going to add the same NVR model. Okay, done. Okay, registered. Now from SSM you can do the same. You can live view cameras, you can do export, playback, and so on. What additional you can do here? In SSM you have option for having failover, which I talked about. You have option to add external device. You can add um, if you have third-party access control system, you want to integrate, you can do integration. Then you have option for mapping interface. Okay. Then you also have, similarly to the viewer, you have event action, but the amount of actions that you can do is much more elaborate. So here you can do, if the NVR disconnected, I need a pop-up, or if a certain camera motion has been detected, I need to send an email, I need a pop-up, or I can start recording, um, pop-up here. Okay, I can play a sound, I can send push notification. So this extra stuff you can do in SSM. Not only that, in SSM you also have the dashboard option, whereby you can see totally how many cameras you have, how many NVRs you have, in each NVR how many cameras are recording, and overall status. Then search, you can search for events, you can search for if you have AI camera, you can search for AI details. So compiling or comparing both, if your project requires Sierra integration, if your project requires a lot of client users, or if your project requires access control third-party integration, or certain features like failover, dashboard, mapping interface, in this case you switch to SSM. Okay, otherwise you can continue with the Wisenet viewer application for the client. So let's take an example. Okay, project with 500 cameras, and there are two operators. So for 500 divided by 64, 500 divided by 64, you need around 8 NVRs. Okay, and there are two clients, right? So here in client, you can install to PC with Wisenet viewer and done. Now, if the same project requires integration with, let's say, Cardax access control, or Max's access control, or Carry access control, we will see the list. Then you will require for this project hotspot. I'm doing now. I use okay. Apologies. Thing again. It my hours. Okay, so we will see from here. Let me. So here, let's say integration with certain VMS like access control, like Cardax or Lenel access control, or so on. In this case, you will go with the SSM concept. Now, uh, let me show you in SSM what is the requirement. You need one SSM server for up to 3000 cameras connected via NVR. If you want failover, add one more SSM server. Okay, so all the NVRs will get transferred in case the first server fails. Each SSM server can handle up to 20 clients. Okay, done. Now, what is the specification for the SSM? If you're using the SSM method, you need i7 16 GB RAM for the server. Then for the client, you need similar i7 16 GB RAM, but for every two monitors, because it's a client PC, you have two monitor, buy 2 GB graphics card. If you have four monitors, buy 4 GB graphics card. Okay, maximum you can connect is four monitors. Okay, what if you do Wisenet viewer option? If you're using Wisenet viewer, forget about the server spec, directly take the client spec, buy one i7 PC, and every two monitors buy 2 GB graphics card from GeForce. Done. This is your client spec. Okay, all right, so both are free to use. You can decide which version you want, which one you need. Okay, Wisenet viewer was recently launched, hardly 1 year old. SSM has been there for more than 10 years. So in different version 1.6 and then 2, now it's 2.11. So it's been there. So many integrations are there. Wisenet Viewer is new. It's more lightweight for someone who wants a quick installation of viewing application. Wisenet Viewer is good. Now there is one nice benefit of Wisenet Viewer, that is it supports Mac operating system. If a customer has got multiple NVRs and he wants to view in his MacBook, you can use Wisenet Viewer. But SSM is more like a traditional full-fledged VMS application. You have the server client application, you have integration choices. Okay, so integration, you can integrate with let me pull out that directly, just a second. Okay, if you want to integrate with Honeywell access control, JCI access control, Gallagher, Siemens, Carey, NetApp, any of this access control, you can use SSM. But there is a license when you want to do integration with access control or third-party intercom. There is one-time license called transaction license, SSM TS10L. But for the adding the NVRs, no license. But to integrate, there is one-time license you have to consider. But however, if you need that feature, please look at SSM concept. All right. So that's the main difference between your viewer and SSM. Okay. So that's all for today's session. Today we talked about uh, NVR series. Okay. And you can find more details on the NVR from our website. So go to our website, hanwa-security.com. So that brings us to the end of today's session. For more details, you can go to hanwa-security.com. And if you want a catalog, you can download the data center catalog. You can download the full catalog of NVRs. Download this one, this 2023. Just download this catalog. This is good. Okay, so you can see the NVR section directly. So scroll down. You can see all the NVR models listed, all of them listed here. Then remember the toolbox where you can select the NVR, you can choose the RAID configuration. Whenever you do RAID, make sure you refresh the hard disk selection. For example, here, make sure you refresh the hard disk selection. Choose the hard disk from the recommended list. If you have failover, add one more NVR for failover. Then for reviewing, there are two options: Wisenet viewer, or you have Wisenet viewer or SSM. If you want third-party integration option, Sierra integration, you want more of too many operators, too many client operators are there, then you go with SSM. Okay. Otherwise, you can add all the NVR to Wisenet viewer in one client PC and you can close it. Okay, so both are free to use and you can apply. Now, in terms of NVR, you can add Hanwa or third-party camera. You have RAID option, you have failover option, you have RAID redundancy built-in dual power supply option, and so on. SD card failover is there. Then maximum NVR XRN is 64 channel. We saw the difference between X series and P series. X series is your everyday use NVR. P series, if you want to convert your traditional cameras to AI camera, you can use P series AI NVR. Every time you use a P series NVR with a non-AI camera, it will use some percentage of the CPU. So if you are buying a P series AI NVR 64 channel, you can use 32 cameras and you can convert it to AI. The remaining 32 you have to use as without AI, or you can add a direct AI camera. Okay, so you can convert half of it from non-AI to AI. Okay, majority of the projects we are using X series NVR only. It comes in again 4 to 64 channel. You have with RAID, without RAID. We have 8 hard disk, 16 hard disk option, and you can choose that accordingly. In the toolbox, there is an option to compare. So compare and check which one is most suitable for you. All right. Built-in PoE option is there. Make sure the model number has the letter S for the built-in PoE option. Okay. When you do storage calculation for cameras, make sure you also do click on the settings of the camera and edit the criteria: resolution, H.265, and frame rate, and recording time. Okay. All this is critical. Okay. Now, if there are any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can close the session. You will get an email from me today with the link to register for the exam. Click on the registration link, attempt the exam within the next 1 or 2 weeks. Um, and from the date of your completion, it will take around 40 days to issue the certificate. It will be emailed to you as well. Okay, now if there are any questions, let me know. I'm online. Otherwise, feel free to disconnect anytime. PowerPoint will be emailed to you along with the exam link.